Good evening. Welcome to February 24th, 2022 Planning Board meeting. First thing I want to do is welcome Paul Gannon, second side of the right. He is officially an alternate now. And Chuck's not here, so he is also appointed as a voting member. The first item on the agenda is a conceptual hearing for Kaylee Kerr to operate a business in her house. And that's all I know about that.
Yep, that's Kaylee.
And that's her. Come on up to the podium. Tell us your name and address and what you want to do.
All right, my name is Kaylee, and I live at 301 Tiffany Hill Road.
Thanks, Steve.
And I'm a tattoo artist, so I would like to open a private studio at home. I've definitely noticed a lot of shops lack that sort of personal experience, so that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. And for a private studio, I do have kind of a larger clientele, but I would only be seeing one client a day, 4 days a week. So not a huge come and go, not open to the public, very private. In terms of health and safety, I brought all my license stuff with me if you need to see it. Okay.
We don't care about that.
All right, well, I brought it anyways.
That's a state's problem.
Hold on, Chuck's here.
That doesn't matter. He's too late for this hearing.
Oh, is that what I need? You want your seat, sire? Want the seat?
Technically, you have to stay there. You have to stay there until after she's done.
Oh, okay, I'm
The
sorry.
hearing already started. He can't sit on the
Chuck,
hearing.
just bring me.
Pardon us.
You can't sit
no,
on
you're
her
okay.
hearing because it's already started. But shortly you can.
Yeah, you got one right there.
I'll move there.
Sorry.
Yes, sorry, ma'am. So where's 301 Tiffany?
Yep.
Where is that?
It's right over if you take Quaker all the way down and cross over Thorndike.
That's Tiffany Hill Road?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, not
Dirt
far.
road.
from
It's up a
Elijah.
quick-
Well, I know where Tiffany,
Yeah.
where's 301, I should say.
It's the Osborne House right on the corner where the mailboxes are before you go up the hill.
Oh, is that the red farm on the right?
Yep.
Just to the hard right turn?
Yes.
Yeah, real right on the road.
I know exactly where it is. I know it very well.
I know. Oh, it's
Oh, Osborne's old house.
Yes.
Yeah. Johnny
Down
and
The
there.
red colonial, right?
the red colonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I
I know
remember
what you mean.
driving through the door yard one time.
I know in terms of waste and everything, I work with a company called Stericycle, so any sort of liquid human waste goes into a special trash can, which they come and take away. Same with any sharps containers, anything like that. So nothing going into the septic system, nothing going into the actual garbage to be taken to the transfer station. And I guess a lot of this is health and safety, which if you don't really need. Do you have any questions for me regarding
Well,
anything?
The health and safety, and you have the state licenses and all.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's-
yeah,
So you said like one client at a time, one car, one extra car at a time
Yep.
type
Yep.
thing, one a day?
yep. If that, usually try to work 5 to 4 days a week. And then I take a week off here and there too, so.
So no employees, just you?
Nope, just me and my dog.
Do you see a feasibility of expanding within a couple of years? I mean, you set yourself up, you're successful, you get a steady clientele, the word goes on from someone else, and all of a sudden now you're looking at, 3, 4, 5 people a day or more?
No, I'm quite content how it is. I can't work like that. I also run a regenerative farm at home, so they take up a lot of time, so kind of got to do both.
So I'll just add, if you don't mind. So the reason Kaylee and I swapped emails, she talked to Tony, she talked to Romeo. At first, I think you were gonna try to do it in an outbuilding,
I
which is
was.
what brought her here, because we
Yes.
were gonna have a whole different building.
Okay.
But since then, she's narrowed it down, and I believe, if you talked to Romeo today, you were gonna use a, corner of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no new, it's an in-home business, basically.
Okay.
She's not doing a new building outside, she's not doing,
I did bring my portfolio too, so you know I'm not just some sort of amateur messing people up. I don't know. I think that's important to know that it's good quality.
Well, if you're that much of an amateur, I don't think the state would have licensed you, so.
Well, honestly, you'd be surprised.
And we don't care if you're any good at what you do.
Okay,
It has nothing to do with
well,
this.
I care. but-
Yes, you should.
Yeah, you'd be surprised who gets licensed.
You're not gonna be in
so.
one of those commercials on TV where they did it wrong or something like that. One of those
Spell
new
something wrong.
commercials. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully not.
I think she falls into the home-based business, right?
Yeah, that's what I believe.
You won't need to see her for site plan. Like I said,
Yeah, I mean,
conversation started in one direction and it changed to another
Yeah,
direction.
Romeo had suggested going this route, and I think he was pretty correct with
Yeah.
that, so.
If you were gonna ever put a sign out, you have to deal with Tony. But
Yeah,
if
I'd-
you're not looking for
I'd rather
clientele,
You'd probably have to go to the
honestly.
zoning board and,
no, she's not looking for any additional
The
homes.
sign would just have to be a little dinky thing.
yeah.
No, I'd rather
Mr.
not.
House Number.
I like my privacy, so
Okay.
I prefer just very private sort of situation.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
So she basically
I think
just
she's fine.
Yep.
lets
Good
Romeo
luck.
or Tony know and she can get going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like me to stay for the rest of the meeting, or am I good?
No, you don't have to stay.
No, you don't have to give us that.
Second item on the agenda is site plan.
Okay. Wait.
Now, check.
Now Chuck can go over
Now
here
you
and
can
Paul
swap
can go over
your
there.
seat where your name tag is. Paul, you can sit over
I
here.
will go over here.
Your package is right in front of Bruce.
So how would you say we're gonna sit 10 people here?
I don't know how you're gonna sit 10 people. We only gotta worry about this many tonight.
Okay.
10 people for what?
Well, we're suddenly gonna see here, we're gonna have 4 alternates.
Well, the zoning board sits them in the audience
Yeah.
and calls them if they need them and sits.
That's what, yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah.
So let's cross that bridge after.
Yeah, we'll cross it.
Yeah. Anyway, next item on the agenda is a site plan review by Miracle LLC. Doing business Ware Real Food Market, owner Merrick Rivero, 65 North Park Highway, tax map 203, lot 32 in the commercial zone. How did I lose my stuff? Oh, buried it. So the first thing we need to do is accept the application is complete. And I'm gonna start off by saying we can't treat this as an expedited site review because we didn't do a conceptual on this application.
And I think the other thing that doesn't make it complete is that we still haven't seen whatever the state required for the driveway.
I emailed what the
Well,
state sent us.
The
to you
state
guys.
sent it, the things that are required to be done, and if it hasn't been
Well,
done.
you don't have to have a state permit to accept it as complete.
For the driveway coming off the state highway?
No.
Okay.
To approve it, you either have to make it a condition or,
Well, there's other issues with that property, too.
yes, I knew that.
Yeah.
First things first. So anyway, I don't see a problem. I haven't reviewed the application, we just got it, but instead of doing a expedited, going with a formal.
And the reason I led him probably to the expedited part was he's made a change, which is why he had to come back here. Because he's already, from my understood, been to site plan review, that's why. And he was making a change by adding the food truck, that's why I led him down that path.
And what's the site plan review?
Because him and I swapped me emails, and that's the path I led him. I was wrong. I apologize. Can't do everything.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the checklist. The items that, there's some unchecked items. Are there waivers for those?
You asking me? I don't see any waivers.
I didn't either. Well, I'd like to talk about it, but I don't know how to do that. I can't, I'm not ready to accept the application because there's unchecked items and no waivers.
Let's back up a second.
Okay.
We show number 12, location type, nature of all existing proposed lighting. Is there any lighting?
Well, there's lighting on the sign, but there's like porch lights, I guess.
Lighting on the sign, and when was that added? Because that wasn't there originally when Woods lived there.
I believe it was added when we first got everything updated and exchanged.
I don't recall anything about it. So when you first got it, what, updated for the farmer's market?
Yeah.
That would have been through, we wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, we worked at the site walk and everything for the farmer's market down
But we
there.
didn't have to worry about a sign.
No.
That's not our
That would be
purview.
the zoning, so
That would
you'd
be
have to go to,
That would have been
code
Chip
enforcement.
and Chip wasn't,
or Kelly.
yeah, which
Or
never
whoever-
got done.
Whichever one it was.
Yep.
It wouldn't have been us.
Oh.
At any rate, so
I get the folder there, so I didn't see it in there. The other thing I got things with is that going by, there's a lot of deficiencies before it even comes before us, driving by there. Number one, it doesn't meet the thing as a truck. It's now semi-permanent because it's no longer registered, the truck that you're using.
Okay.
You've buried the tires with gravel, so it's not able to be mobile. The other thing
Yeah,
what?
let's back up. Bruce did some research with,
I made some phone calls and sent some emails.
Yeah,
If I can go through that first.
yeah, go ahead. I'll defer to you.
for getting into the mobile part of the truck, I saw some of these emails. That's
Yeah.
why I stopped, one of the reasons I stopped you.
And
So you're gonna have a discussion without accepting it?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
We're discussing if we're gonna accept it,
I'm just
basically.
trying to follow, okay.
And we're doing this, I think, for everybody's benefit, including the applicant. so-
Well, I think the applicant has to know what he has to do to get the application accepted.
Right.
We have to, we have to discuss deficiencies in the application, basically, prior to accepting it, or so he knows where to go.
And I'm a licensed septic designer. I'm pretty familiar with the state website and how to find things. So it took me about two and a half minutes to find a septic plan that Jim Donaldson had done back in July. So that piqued my interest because the septic design is for a 3-bedroom house and then 300 square
seen
foot
it.
commercial space,
Okay, it was in this file.
300 gallon
I
per
pulled the
day.
folder out.
use commercial space. But the unusual part about that is, and I talked to the state reviewer about this, and she was a little dismayed that she approved it without knowing how you arrived at that 300 gallons a day. I know that's the minimum commercial size a septic system has to be, but usually there's a statement on there about how you arrive at that, and if it's way less, then that's the default number that you go to, but there's nothing on the plan that indicates how it was arrived at.
Why does the septic system matter?
Well, because you're adding use to the property. You're adding people to be at the property.
For the food truck?
For any, yes, anybody that comes on that lot, anybody that comes on the site, you're adding use of,
Well, also, but the septic system where the leach field is shown is on top of about 10, 15 parking spaces, and you're not gonna park on top of that leach field, I don't believe.
right. No, this isn't designed for H20 loading.
Right. So that's another reason it gets involved.
Okay.
So it really, finding this, it really affects your whole site plan approval there.
Okay.
So you really need to reconfigure your whole site based on the septic system being there and not being able to drive on it.
Okay.
And you've got sewer lines crossing where a driveway are that aren't H20 rated. You're not supposed to drive over them. So it affects your traffic flow unless you do some redesigning.
Okay.
So the whole thing, I think, needs to be relooked at.
Okay.
And one of the state rules about septic systems for an expansion of use, which is what this one was approved as.
Okay.
It wasn't approved as a failed system replacement, it was approved as an expansion of use. If there was not a approved septic system on the site before, and it didn't have a construction approval and an operational approval, so 2 approvals are required, then that septic system needs to be put in before the expansion occurs. I've got a copy of that stuff here you can have.
Okay.
But that's a state rule, that I got the page of the rule right here, you could read that.
Okay.
So that system really, not only do you need to modify your whole site plan with that in mind, but you also have to build it.
Okay.
So, here's a copy, you can have that. And I've got a copy of Jim's, the application right here, and he says he couldn't, there's no mention of a prior plan, prior approval, or anything like that.
Okay.
So, so then, after I kind of saw that, then I saw the email that you had sent to Naomi from the food service people.
Yeah.
So I sent them an email with a couple of questions, like 6 questions. And my questions were, could you please define for us what a food truck is? Mobility-wise, as the one proposed is more permanent than mobile. And the reply was, a mobile food unit means a food service establishment mounted on wheels or otherwise designated to be immediately movable. The unit must be fully enclosed. All operations, storage, prep, and service must be done within the confines of the unit. No outbuildings allowed. If there was need for more space, the licensee would need to seek out a commissary kitchen. Depending on what the commissary kitchen is used for, additional licenses may be required. Second question I asked was, how often must the food truck move to maintain its mobile status? Their answer was, there is no specified time. The truck needs to be able to move on its own at a moment's notice and adhere to water, wastewater requirements. So I had a follow-up question, which, how long must the food truck be gone before it can be returned to still be considered mobile? There was no specific time. That was pretty much the same answer as the one before. Question 4, how many days can a mobile food truck be in a location before it's not considered mobile anymore? Their answer was, provided the licensee is meeting all the requirements of a mobile unit, including water, wastewater requirements, there is no time frame that would change the type of license. My 5th question is, what are the water supply and wastewater requirements, waste disposal requirements for both mobile food truck and a fixed location truck? And their answer was, the concept of water is carry in, carry out. There can be no connection to continuous running water supply or sewer. The unit should have a fresh water tank large enough to provide the licensee with hand washing, cooking, and ware washing for the full amount of time they are in operation for any given day. So you need essentially a day's worth of water in the truck. And the gray water tank must be 15% larger than the freshwater tank, again, in the truck. Number 6, on another topic that at the same location is whether or not coffee can be prepared and served under the same license. Their answer was, if coffee is being served as part of the menu and is completely made and served from the truck via a service window, then coffee would be allowed. But you can't transport the coffee to another location to sell it to people. It has to be handed out the service window and sold right out of the truck. And that applies to anything the truck makes. It can't go somewhere else on the premises to be sold. But the key takeaway from that is, you have to be able to walk up to the truck, put the key in it, start it up, and drive off.
Okay.
No removing skirts, no taking out anything from underneath it. Everything has to be in the truck.
Okay. Yeah.
You can only plug it in with an extension cord. After I got those questions, I actually called her up to talk to her a little bit more. Everything has to be, you can't have a connection to it. It can only be plugged in with an extension cord, no permanent wiring. In the location we have got it, you can't have the extension cord running across the driveway because that violates building code.
Okay.
And you can't bury it because that makes it permanent. So you'd have to do something about like a temporary, a public service or Eversource pedestal on that side of the driveway to be able to plug your cord into.
Okay.
You can't plug it into the house because you're on the other side of the driveway, or you'd have to cross a road or the driveway to get there.
Yeah.
Generator.
You could do a generator, but we need that would be part of the site plan as to whether it would,
I understand.
yeah.
It's an option.
I was gonna say that.
So, those are my questions about the food truck. But another question I had, in seeing your postings on Facebook, it appears that you sell donuts there.
At the market?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they individually wrapped for sale when you get them?
No, they're sold as part of like a box a dozen.
But do you sell them individually, or do you sell them in the same box they come in?
We sell them individually.
That requires a license, because
Okay.
you're breaking up packaged product into individually sales that you can't do.
Okay.
So you need a separate food license for that.
Okay. I can work on that.
And because now, once you start touching food inside, you need sinks. You can't get a food license without sinks. And with sinks, you're adding onto your septic system.
Okay.
So that's why this septic system approval really piqued my interest. So what I'm gonna ask you for, even though the state didn't hear, is I wanna know on a new, whatever you prepare for us. And Jim could do it, you could have Jim do it as a separate letter, it doesn't have to be on the plan, because he's also a PE, so those guys get squirrely about stamping somebody else's work. But I wanna know how, there's a chart in the state DES requirements on water usage, on every use. I wanna know how you arrive at that commercial use gallons per day, because it's based on the square footage of your facility, it's based on how many people work there, it's based on how many meals you serve a day, it's based on how many people come in and out.
Okay.
There's a chart with about 45 different items on it, and it could be 4 or 5 that pertain to your particular use.
Okay. So,
But Jim could prepare that for you. I mean, he should have prepared that for you with this. And I'd be a little bit surprised if he didn't hear from the state asking him to provide that for them, because they were a little dismayed that it wasn't part of this plan.
okay. Well, so the question I have about the septic system, I understand for the store itself, that matters for like the sink and washing all that stuff. But for the food truck, we have water coming in based on that system. We're literally ordering water from Monadnock Mountain Spring.
Okay, that's another subject. We'll talk
Oh,
about
okay.
that now. The water has to come from either a public water source,
Okay.
it's regulated with a public water supply license. It can come from your well, but you have to provide water tests to the state annually
Yeah.
for the water out of the well. But the gray water out of that truck, we need a service contract. If that truck's gonna sit there and not move to dump somewhere, we're gonna require a service contract so that we know if somebody's pumping the water out of that
Okay.
tank, it's not going on the ground.
Okay.
And we don't, I mean, I don't care if you use the water in your well that's there, as long as you abide by the health requirements about the annual report, the
Okay.
water testing, and
Yeah.
would like to see a copy of that water test too. And whatever they require for a water test, I'm fine with. I mean, I'm not any more stringent than they are.
Okay.
I guess the whole, there you go.
But we just want to make sure that everything's
Yeah.
Yeah, last
even though
permit,
we don't-
they got-
regulate
Yeah,
food trucks
Moody
per
had it.
se. We still, we want to know what's there.
Yeah.
And now you've, because of the amount that you've now put on that site, you've kind of, pretty, I think, without seeing anything, I think you've pretty much maxed out what you can do area-wise on the site. So I'm gonna ask that you prepare a lot more of a site plan than what we've got before,
Okay.
and showing the food truck locations and stacking traffic, doing coffee. I mean, Dunkin' Donuts, they're out to 114 with traffic, and they have a lot more room to stack traffic than you do.
Okay.
That was another issue I was gonna bring up, you brought, but the issue is, and we discussed this back with the original site plan, and that seemed to get a little bit far afield from we had our site walk down there, the original for the store. That they weren't, part of it with that farmer's market, and the store at the time was only
Here's a
supposed to
copy of
be,
the questions I got from the food service people there. Yeah.
according to your application, was only supposed to be open when the farmer's market's there, now it's expanded. I couldn't find anything in the folder, and there may be, for permit to, when you put in the parking spaces, that never came, that I saw anything came forward to the board. And nothing came to, as far as, like, no permit for the handicap ramp that's in there, so I mean, there's some stuff that's been overlooked, unless that's, wasn't put in the folder. The other issue is that when we did the site walk, only the traffic was supposed to come in, go around out through the area of the field, and where the septic system is now, the leach field, and then go out on the back side of the building. That was never, you pulled the driveway permit for it, for the exit,
Yeah.
and part of the driveway permit, which you didn't follow, is it's supposed to be paved. The apron is supposed to be paved off of 114, and that's
Okay.
explicit in the permit. And that bothers me when I see things that were pretty explicit, and that's the permit that's issued by the road agent. He, in discussing this with him, he's got some concerns about the traffic dumping out, and that's why we brought it up in that original site plan, not coming out that driveway out on the Quaker Street. Because it's a short run, and if the traffic starts backing up between the people pulling in, people coming down the hill, which have the main use, that it's gonna cause a real traffic issue. People turning off of 114 to come up that hill, you haven't got much of a room. If you get 2 or 3 stacked out there, because it's hard to get out on the 114, that's why we had the stipulation to come around the back of the buildings,
Yeah.
to give you more room. This isn't gonna give you much room, so I'm not too sure I like that at that point. But
Okay.
that intersection is terrible. The site,
That's why a better plan will help us understand. what's
yeah,
going on.
because coming out the driveway, the existing driveway from that food truck like that, I'm not,
Well, coming out Quaker Street, so,
coming out on the Quaker Street, I'm not a big fan of that.
coming out of Quaker Street itself.
Is
Oh, no,
more of a
no,
pain.
Yeah,
And then,
that's,
Very dangerous.
and then on top of that, you still have the issues, the state required, they sent you, the district engineer sent you a letter saying
Yeah.
that he wanted to see this, and that's gonna, till that's done, this is also gonna probably hinge on this plan, so.
Okay. We sent a response back. It was actually in the emails that I sent it over.
The response, yeah, but that's fine, you could send the response all you want till he turns around and
No, I think he
says,
did. Didn't he?
he
send
said
you
there's
back something?
conditions he needed to be met.
Yeah, and we sent the
Until he
conditions
gets,
there.
signs off on it and says,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, you've met those conditions, it's.
Okay.
It's, like getting, the other thing is, I also look at is that if you're preparing food or any type of stuff in that food truck, like any of them, does it meet the other safety codes as far as fire suppression and so forth? But right now, it's a moot issue because it's no longer a truck, it's more of a fixed,
And it can't be.
It can't be a truck, because you've buried gravel around the front and rear tires, it's not registered, does it even start? Does the truck even start?
Yeah, the truck starts.
Starts.
And it runs just fine. The gravel is just supposed to make it so it was level for cars to come up, but we can,
That detracts from it being mobile at that point. You can't, I mean,
You
you've got to
can't-
pile
You
around
can't pull it
the.
out in a moment's notice.
No, you can't put it out, and I mean, I know that, what Bruce said about the requirements, those are, a lot of those requirements, how long can it stay? Like most towns that have food trucks go into them have town ordinances that say you can only operate from this hour to this hour. You can't stay overnight, you can't leave it.
And that's
there for
kind of why I
extended
quizzed them
period.
to see if they had any.
Yeah, and there's nothing, the state doesn't have anything on it, they leave it to the individuals, but
So,
there's a lot to be done before you can even, and from what the state health department said about holes in the walls and sealing, if they come back and get a clean bill of health, that's gonna help.
okay. They will just show up at some point and give us that final approval, so we
And
can
when you get the
control
final
that.
approval, then that's, I guess you're good to go at
Yeah.
that point, after you meet that requirement by the top of ours, but
them, but not from us.
not from us.
Okay,
But there's a lot more, like I said, and I'm not real keen on the fact that I get the impression at times that, we went down there originally from the store and what we were told, and I pulled the original application and stuff, and it says, only open on the weekends, during farmers
the
market.
outdoor farmer's market was only,
And the store was only gonna use to be hold stuff cold and water, it wasn't gonna be a regular entity, and when it was gonna be open, it's even in there, the store to be open during the farmer's market, is now 7 days a week, and I don't, like I said, I may be wrong, or I didn't see anything in the folder, I didn't see anything that came through as far as any adjustments for parking spaces.
It's on the plan, I think.
Was it, I didn't see it in,
What was on the plan?
that wasn't,
Was the plan there?
no.
I signed one.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it, so that's why I went and pulled it. And it could be in there some places, a couple of them, but
We're-
those things, that kind of bothered me all of a sudden. And then when I checked back when they were building the ramp and there was no permit pulled for that,
So were butters notified of this, Naomi?
the ramp for getting into the store, I'm going, was there a
Okay.
permit pulled for that? No, it's all of a sudden was built. So it's, those are the things, is it compliant? Those are the things,
We didn't accept the application.
No, they're not.
How do, can we
No.
continue it?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, and the conditions get met.
Yeah, they're right here.
Okay. When do you think would be a good time for you to come back? We can continue this so that you don't have to pay for butters notices and stuff again.
in order to get through the full list, it might take me a little while just to figure out how long it'll take to get responses
Yeah,
from.
Unfortunately, we kind of have to,
We have to be date
we have to
specific.
put it right today, date
Um,
specific. I mean, if you don't make it, you could just show up and say, I didn't make it, gotta get another
Okay.
month.
Could I get a month then?
One thing to remember, though.
Yeah.
Before we go there, your approved site plan shows X number of parking spaces. You're gonna lose a lot of those as soon as you put the leach field and the septic tank and those kind of things.
Yep.
And overlay 'em. So you may be coming back to modify the existing farmer's market as well as the food truck. It's not gonna be just a food truck,
Yeah,
because you can't, the approved site plan has you driving out through this shed. It's there now. Things like that, you gotta,
okay.
Yeah, because that's where the driveway is now, is
right,
behind that
this
shed.
driveway here is through this shed.
And that's why drawing a plan
Put a shed in
to
there
scale
now.
Well, it says there's a shed.
will help us to
Okay.
figure out exactly.
Well, there was a shed on the other side of it, the driveway.
And
it
you don't have
goes
to be
in
a
between the
surveyor
shed
to
and
do
the
this. We're not
building,
telling
so
you
I
to
think
have to hire a surveyor to do this.
It's the driveway that's there, there's a little
Plan
shed,
shows a property line here and a shed here.
yeah. And then there's another, this is where the driveway should be, behind the house. If you look at it, it's almost identical to what that drawing is. There's a shed between the driveway, what they use to drive out of the farmer's market, there's a little shed there, and then the property line, so it's running in there.
Anyway, the two have to be merged.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna
That's
reduce
the
the number of parking spaces, we gotta know what the number of parking spaces are gonna be,
Okay.
to make sure we think it's appropriate, meets the regulations. You should show, if you're gonna leave your food truck in the front, where you show it on here, you should show us how many cars you can stack.
Okay.
Which would probably be
Merrick, did you
three.
show the one cookie lady if she comes back? Is the cookie person on
Oh,
there?
well, I mean, until this gets approved, she won't be on the property.
ice cream
But we do
one?
have a spot marked as to where she would
Oh,
be.
that's
Yeah, so you're gonna need to show that on there.
Yep.
Yep.
It's marked it should be marked on the map that where her spot would be.
Yeah, is that the one closer to the building? It says food truck, the other
Yeah.
green one.
Yeah.
So that's a non-entity at this point?
Correct. She's not actually there. That was to give the option for her to be there. And hers is a walk-up, so it would just be part of the parking spaces that would be, people would just park and walk over.
She's truly mobile.
Yep. Yeah, she's a trailer.
Yep.
Yep.
30 days is March 24th.
I don't think he'll make 30 days. It's a lot of work to do there. And we get some snow coming, so it's gonna be more difficult.
We may not.
So, does he have to have this all done within 30 days, or can it be broken up into bits and pieces?
Well, he needs to have the application complete.
We need to
Okay.
accept the application complete, right?
Okay.
He can always, we can continue it for
60?
a week, for a month, and just write us a letter saying, I'm gonna need more additional time. He doesn't have to show up, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it that
You can
way.
send me an email and I can forward it to you.
Right,
Okay.
email's fine,
So, yeah, so March 24th.
yeah.
See how far we can get.
If he doesn't make it, then give, I think do we change that? Do we have to have the plans in here a week ahead of time? We change that?
I don't even know what he says.
I thought we did. You have to have the plans a week ahead of time.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
So we have time to look at them rather than,
Yeah.
you don't get them anyway, so.
I know.
Good help's hard to find.
Get what you pay for, is that what you're saying?
That's why
I understand.
it's cheap.
Like Craig worked cheap.
I'm a volunteer, so I'm not getting paid anything. for this.
24th to 17th, so if you don't have the plans here by like March 17th, that's telling him you're not gonna make
Yeah,
it.
he has my email, yeah.
Yep.
I have
Is that a
to
motion
find-
just made to
It is.
continue it to March,
Yeah.
till March?
24th.
Second. Discussion?
I think we've already had a lot of that.
You have any questions, Merrick?
Not at the moment, but I may send emails to get more clarification if I need it.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? See you in a month, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, give me that back so I can put it back in the office and accuse me of stealing it.
I'm gonna give you Bruce's paraphernalia to go along with it. How's that?
Put it right in here.
Yep, works for me.
Okay. Put it back on the desk for them and then take it.
We need to keep the application, obviously. Next item on the agenda that I can't find is not that.
Oh, a merger?
That's not
Voluntary
bad.
merger?
Yeah, voluntary merger for,
Yeah, well,
thank you. Oh, yeah, that's why I can't find it.
You
I
gave
gave
it to him?
over.
Yeah.
You gave me two. Here.
Voluntary merger for Ryan's something or other, and Allison's something or other at 16 Wayne Drive.
Hijack.
Hijack.
Right.
Hijack.
Hijack.
Don't say that on a plane.
Okay,
You cannot.
okay.
Gotta be Hungarian.
As long as it's not Iranian, we're all set, huh?
Or Ukrainian, yeah, right.
So Ryan,
For
Ryan filled out a voluntary form. We talked when he paid his taxes. But I panicked when I saw on the tax cards that he doesn't, according to our records, didn't own 49.
Yes, I bought it in November.
So we updated to do tax bills, but we
there
don't
we
do
go.
another update till after April 1st. So he has the deed with him. And Ryan's been back and forth, and he can tell his story too, but he, I think you wanna put a garage on?
Yeah, we're gonna put a garage.
So if you merge two together, he doesn't have a variance issue on a lot line. So,
It's only
so this is
65 feet wide, so.
the tax map, he's 49 and 50.
Wayne Drive, Wayne Drive.
It's
Off
a
of,
little
uh,
dirt road right off of Old Town.
Yeah, okay. And I had to,
Yeah, it was like 3 total houses on the dirt portion.
yeah, I had a brain cramp for a minute. I said,
Across
geez,
from
I
the
know
well.
it.
The well's
Yeah.
in.
Right across from the well, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where am I supposed to sign this, Naomi?
This isn't the form.
Oh,
Wait.
Once you do it, I'll type it and you can sign it. Wasn't gonna waste my ink.
Make me come back in here again.
You've seen that official looking form, that's not the form.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
We're on a budget.
So now I thought she's gonna waste her time by typing and waste my time coming back in here
Well,
again.
you have to come back and look at other things.
Tight
again.
budget, you know.
Do you have any more questions for Ryan? I didn't mean to steal his thunder.
As long as the lot is not, as long as the merger's not making it non-conforming, we have to approve it.
Yep,
Right. So is that a motion?
yep, so moved. Seconded.
He moved, I seconded.
Yeah,
Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
yes.
Aye.
So Ryan, what I'll do is I'll type up the form that goes to the registry. I'll have him sign it. It'll go to the registry and then you'll get a copy.
Works for me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Ryan.
Vaya con Dios.
You too. You have minutes, but you also have, Bill answered the question, and dawned on me after, but I'd already posted it. Maddie and Nevin are here from last month. You weren't here.
You weren't here, we continued it till February 10th, we didn't have a meeting till February 10th, so they're here tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on up.
They say with the price, they say with the price is right, come on
Oh, this is the
down.
driveway thing that
Yes.
Yes.
Pastor Bill was
Yes.
asking about? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
A
That's
little
right.
piece of property to make
Where'd my map
right
go?
away.
I don't know what map.
Which map?
What map?
Oh, it went down there.
This one?
Oh, yeah, can I look at
Yeah,
it?
they get passed around.
This time Paul wanted to,
Yeah.
he's gonna put these two together, because he wants to put a garage on here. He'll end up
Oh, that looks better.
variance if he doesn't.
Yes,
not-
so
it's
I
not-
see you got the updated
It's not
drawings.
bopping across the lot corner that way.
Yes. And then
You need to sign it.
there's 3 copies, one big print and 2 smaller of the drawing that you guys wanted to see that had the note regarding the easement. And then there's, I believe, 5 copies there of the actual maintenance agreement itself.
Yeah, that was it.
Which is what, that we carbon copied from the registry, we just filled in different,
Yeah.
Are we gonna share that plan, or we just leave it rolled up?
Yeah, there's 2 smaller copies
We
of
don't
that
have
big
time to do
plan.
that. no.
But yeah,
I don't
that's,
get paid for the plan.
This is the top plan, this is the original survey plan.
yeah, that's 29202 that you requested to see last time.
This little one here that Craig has, that's the one with the driveway location on it.
I wasn't here last month either, so I'm looking.
Well, this plan hasn't changed in a while since Mr. Todd's not with us anymore.
It's got some age on it. That's actually my writing, it's pretty sad.
What, from before?
From 1998. Wasn't part of the woodwork.
The good thing is I didn't write on it.
No, I did the date and the. Corey, I can't remember.
Look to see who did the surveying and
passed
the
away.
engineering.
I can
Sanford
I
out
can
of
sit here. I
out
can
of
sit here.
Bedford, so it was,
I can sit here.
This copy, my copy.
And Hool and Lover and Bennett is the
Yeah.
butters.
Well,
So,
Pool and
we're
Lover.
building together.
We're
and
building.
then
Yep.
the abutters
Craig and
are-
Josie Bennett are the abutting property.
right.
So you're Nevin and Madeline.
Correct.
Okay, I'm getting up to speed here now.
moving right along.
Let me see the plan again, please. Okay.
War
that's
here.
all I can see.
What were the things we were looking
I'm
for?
gonna share it.
Yeah.
In the minutes here, the maintenance agreement?
The maintenance agreement.
Section to cut out of the
before,
driveway
he
so
had
you
this
can get access
driveway
right there.
They
Yep,
don't share.
because that's been
going across the
corrected.
lot corner here, it
Yep.
would have taken an easement, but now he's
Fully
moved
on
it,
this
so it's not.
property, and then
Yep.
Plan 29202.
I only have that right there.
That's the big rolled up one, and there's actually 2 smaller copies of that
Okay.
as well.
And referenced in deed letter, that's what this is?
So-
No, that's a maintenance agreement.
Yeah,
Oh, it was referenced in deed
Yeah,
letter.
we brought the deed last time, and you guys wanted to see the
Yeah.
29202.
Right.
So That's that.
Yep. Can I ask where you got the maintenance agreement form?
Online.
From where?
Well, it was
Registry
from
Deeds.
but we had to fix
What
it.
town?
I had to change a little bit of
It
it.
was where? It was a where one,
It was a where one, but it just didn't match completely, so we had to change it a little bit.
yeah.
The only reason I'm saying that is because typically it was like 3 pages long.
No, the one she gave me was just 2 paragraphs.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Kiss.
And the neighbors agreed on it.
Well, I'll agree with the second part of that, but
As long as it ain't me.
I'm not sure on the first part of that.
So you
No,
you end up in a
because,
fight with the neighbors.
So I went to the registry because she reached out to me and I'm like, I don't know, so I just went and put in maintenance agreement in the search mode at registry. And I found one from where, I didn't find one from another town and I shared it with them.
Yeah, we went right to you guys looking for
Yeah,
such document, but it didn't necessarily
yeah, because
exist.
nobody could find one by going through the files. It just takes, there's 4,900 pieces of property, so I shortcutted it through the registry and I found one in where. I don't remember who it was.
I don't know, looks good to me.
I don't remember who it was, but it was a Ware property.
It was Brandon Merrill's.
There we go.
There you go,
The one that's off of Dustin Tavern.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
There's
2 houses, 3
Brandon's,
houses
The
up
old,
there.
the
his
old,
mother's, and Brett's house.
Yeah.
Those three.
All I know is I know Bill Drescher had about a 5-page maintenance agreement, and
I know
Laura
he-
cut it
he'd
down to
done one.
about 2.
I know, I had done one. I had done one up at the other part with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more than this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, Bill's
well,
were
that's
already-
what we found that was done at the
Because
registry.
I did one for a
off of
client of mine
77.
on Colby Road that was more than this. That's all I remember.
The problem with this one, the issue they have is, one of the driveways is already there and people already live out there.
Right, the Bennett's do.
So
They're gonna build a house.
if it was 2 lots with nothing on it, you were doing it from scratch,
Right.
then you're right. That's what I would've wanted. But because someone's already living out there using it, it's tough to get,
I think you're only using the beginning and then you're going
Well,
off.
so the thing is that technically the driveway is established on our land off of River Road. It's our driveway. They have an easement to use our property to access their driveway, to access their house.
the common use part is what, 10 feet long maybe?
It's 25, I believe, is what it
It's not very
says.
long at all.
But
Okay,
As he comes in.
I wasn't here that day.
Oh, yeah, it's very short.
No, I saw that,
Yeah.
but
If it was being used for 200 feet, that's a different story, but,
because there's something in the other one about saying that
oh, I know.
if Bennett's don't agree and they're not gonna pay their 50%, then you get court costs and all this kind of
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. And with only 20 feet of road, hopefully nobody's gonna take somebody.
What's your
to
good
court.
relationship
Trying to
with
put
them
it in the
anyways?
road.
we have a very good relationship with them, actually.
Well, yeah, that's right, today.
Yeah.
You know that.
They sell and move out, then who's the next one?
Neighbors move all the time.
When somebody's already there, it's tough to get them to sign a
Relationship with my neighbor
document,
at
signing
one
on
point
to
in time.
something that they didn't
Yeah, I
have to
know.
begin with.
Okay.
So everything was, in our notes has been met, right?
I think so.
So I move we approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? I'm gonna abstain on this one. You'll be a jerk. I've never done that before in how many years? I voted no a
You're supposed to
couple
state
times.
your reason. why
Answer
you're-
the reason of
Because I wasn't here
abstaining.
that day. I don't like the agreement, how's that?
You guys are good.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you for doing the due
I don't need,
diligence.
we
to
don't
pay
need the old
attention.
plan, but we'll keep the new plan.
All the notes.
Okay, that's it? Look at that.
You need this?
To look online, I was like,
I have
oh my
one.
God, is that beautiful?
I'll get out of here in time to make it to the beach.
Good evening.
I gotta go open the bridge at 9:30.
Does anybody have a reason I should not sign this form for Jack? Okay,
I figured you'd do
Can we,
something like
can we have a
that.
week to think about it?
Have a week to think about
too
it.
late.
Yeah, you have until the 8th.
Here, Naomi. Have another form.
Yeah, you have, and where's the other form?
The other
What
one?
other phone?
Didn't I see you sign one? Oh, that one.
That's the one I
Yeah, I
said.
got
Oh.
one of those.
I have Danny's upstairs,
Email it to you.
upstairs, right, in the computer.
Yes. I got the original on my desk at home if you need it.
I don't tonight.
I could bring in a special trip like when I signed that,
Yeah, why don't you come in tomorrow?
yeah.
Get your snowshoes on and trek down.
Minutes.
Minutes, November 18th.
Get 2 sets.
I was here that day,
You were.
and I actually read these minutes just a little bit ago. I, as usual,
I
don't see
didn't see
anything.
anything in them.
As usual, Karen, there's no problem.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 18th.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
yes.
Aye.
Abstain. January 13th.
I wanted to make one change, I think. Can't figure out where it was. Something about the monuments for,
Monuments, what are you talking?
On Hilburn?
on Hilburn.
Top of the page.
Yep.
There was a sentence there that didn't make sense. Second paragraph, I think. Town engineer was present last year when the disturbed monuments were discovered and replaced with no comments, it wasn't clear here that the monuments are finally all done.
Who was the town engineer that was there last
He-
year,
Mike Dahlberg went out.
Mike Dolman for Keach.
after our site walk?
That was the previous sidewalk.
That was the previous one.
Yes, okay,
That wasn't the latest one.
Right.
right, okay.
But he, forget his name now.
Mike,
Not
Mike
Dahlberg.
Dahlberg?
No, the other guy was trying to release the road. What's his,
Gary Fitzgerald.
Gary.
Yeah.
He brought,
Actually, the first part, the vice stated they did a site work to find buried and broken. We gotta add the thing in here, and we did talk about it, that the monuments are all in place and verified.
so,
I think that's.
so that should be stated that they did a site walk and found,
That you did a site walk and found, and
and
did not
found buried and broken monuments. And that Gary had presented pictorial evidence that those,
That same paragraph, we could just add on the end of it, you know, that we do hit, the applicant presented evidence and
yes,
verified that the monuments are all finally set in place.
Yeah, I got emails, I got email pictures from
Yep.
Jacques.
Right.
Yeah,
Manager.
and they came before the,
And that was before, so and I went out and looked at them,
Yep.
drove by, I said, yep. We had
and he
painted
came to
them
the,
once.
yeah, after we got him, got the email, they found them and painted, marked
Right.
them.
Right.
and put the new ones in too.
Put the
that
new
were
ones in,
missing.
and then I know I spoke to Jock, and it was all done too. He
So you
came
just
before
want to
the board.
add applicant presented evidence via pictures that monuments were set?
And they were verified by chairman.
He's got broad shoulders, he can fall on him.
I can handle that.
Yeah.
I wasn't here that day, remember?
I just want to make it clear that we didn't
You weren't either.
And neither was I, yeah, so,
recommend the selectmen propose a road with monument problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's too late now.
Yeah, because it wasn't
We own
all
it.
set.
We own it as a couple weeks ago. Last snowstorm, just before the last snowstorm.
Yeah, we'll have to plow this snow, so.
Well, we're gonna plow it this storm.
Make a motion to approve January 13th minutes as amended.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. I wasn't here.
You have to, okay, there's a reason.
He
Neither
pulled
were
your
you.
reason.
No, I can still vote for 2 minutes.
As long as you read them.
Yeah, I read them, you look good.
I figured I'd pull one of you, I'll pull it.
Cool, Craig.
Chairman, yeah.
Oh, that's, oh, no, you can't be chairman because you're gonna be an alternate.
Well, let's just switch seats on the Titanic.
What else we got?
One more motion.
Adjourn?
Move to move.
Did I assume the master plan thing you got in the,
It's in the warrant.
It's on the warrant.
You did it in your mailer.
Yeah.
To be voted on.
It will be on the ballot.
how much?
It's going not recommended though.
By the finance
by the
committee.
finance committee.
We recommended it.
I get up and gave them my all at
I
deliberative
think
section,
it's 20
so.
grand.
Yeah, it's 20,000.
Okay.
We gave it a shot.
You'll see what March 8th brings.
Yeah, Bruce got
Are
up
you gonna
and,
meet the 10th?
After March 8th? Sure.
Okay.
We gotta talk about how we're gonna spend money if we get it. Or what we're doing if we don't get
You
it.
know what, do you wanna bring tissue?
Hmm?
Just kidding.
No,
bring
yes,
the
bring,
clientele.
don't need to bring a tissue. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna cry
We did
over
it
it.
before.
No, I'm not gonna cry over it.
Now, we got, actually, there's one other subject I'd like to talk about briefly
Uh-oh.
before we adjourn. The proposed ordinance that we're asking the selectmen to look at
Oh, on the short-term rentals?
on rentals.
Yeah.
No, they don't say that word, Jack.
Oh, rentals. Rentals. Well, it came out, yeah. I know. Rentals, not short-term
Thank you.
rentals. Yeah, because of the legislation that's pending
Yeah,
until July.
But
I
So
sent you
you've handed
something,
it
right?
off
legislation
already,
passed.
right?
Right. Has it,
Yeah.
I don't, it's gone to the House. I don't know if it got through the
Yeah, it's
Senate
not
and
to
the governor
it's
signed
not
it
to the
yet.
House, but I mean, I think it kind of vindicates how we're doing it, that it's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think we ought to, Craig, you and I, or whoever else wants to come, I think we ought to present it to the selectmen. What we found and what, because I want to talk to the police chief and fire chief first, because they're going to be the ones, the fire chief is going to have a big skin in the game in this thing.
Yeah, and it's in the state statute that way, too.
Right.
Police chief, not so much as the fire department, because of the life safety stuff.
And please, enlighten me. We're talking short-term, is this like an Airbnb thing?
This is for all rentals. We're not segregating anything. It's just rentals, residential rentals across the board.
So
Every
define-
residential
It
rental.
all started with Airbnbs.
Yes, define,
Yes.
so,
It's against the law to discriminate against Airbnbs. So but we can apply it to every residential rental in town without discriminating against
Okay.
Airbnbs.
what's a residential rental? Just if I'm,
Any rental that you rent out for overnight stay for people to live in.
okay,
Whether it's for 2
Whether
days
for
or.
2 days
for
or 2 years.
okay. All right.
And we're gonna approach it by,
So is that's probably going to be the same issue when we initially thought about doing a bed and breakfast at the house.
Right.
And talked to the fire chief, it was like, oh, suppression system, this. I said, no, we'd have to destroy that house to do it, and we're not going to do it.
yeah, and what it boils down to is we can, the selectmen by ordinance,
Okay.
without even going to town, at town meeting, they can adopt an ordinance requiring that rentals meet life safety
Sure, yep, yeah.
and health and sanitation.
Which is common sense stuff,
So
anyway.
it's gonna be egress, smoke detectors, septic system,
Yep.
that kind of, bedrooms adequate for sleeping in, they're big enough to have
A blanket and 6 bales of hay.
no, they gotta have the proper egress for windows and,
Windows, fire,
So much for
you know,
double bed, huh?
but it's something that
A
can all
packing
be.
blanket and a sheep to keep warm
Yeah,
with.
but it's something that can all be regulated through the fire department.
Yeah,
And by doing it that way, we're also taking, transferring would probably be the best word to use, the enforcement from the code enforcement officer, land use type, to,
Fire department.
you can get more immediate
Fire and the
enforcement because you can go right to fire and police.
so what would I'm assuming that the opinion is that any type of any type of residential rental is going to have to meet this general standard.
Right.
And the purpose of them having meet that standard is what? Is there
Make sure
town
that- make sure the
town
properties aren't
liability?
Make sure the properties aren't overused
Okay,
and they don't cause health nuisance and health issues by overflowing septic systems, cars parking in the street,
okay.
somebody doesn't die in a fire. Essentially, that's it.
Okay.
And you can regulate it that way for, as long as it's applied for every rental, not just,
Yep,
you're not
that's right.
segregating any type of rental, it's all residential rentals.
What about what about people at Horace Lake who have a condo and want to rent it out, for a couple weeks over the summer?
well, the condos,
We're not saying where and where you can't do this. You can do this at any residential property in town.
Okay.
So we're not,
They need a permit to do it.
To rent it?
It's not a permit, it has to be registered as a rental property.
Oh, registered.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have to pay a fee and register it.
It's
a record
not
of
a
its kept.
permit, it's just a registration, so that
Sorry, wrong
the
card.
fire department knows where these rental properties are.
So is that town-specific, or is that statewide?
It's pretty much, it can be adopted town to town, but it's allowed statewide.
It's gonna be statewide come July if it passes every muster with everything.
Really? So if I have a camp in Wolfboro,
Yep.
an old cabin from the Allen Albee dude ranch out there in the 30s and the 40s.
You're talking way back.
Oh, yeah. And I rent that place out over the summer in Wolfboro.
Depends on how Wolfboro handles it. Every
So,
town
so,
has its
so, but I was,
regulations.
so I say, is it town-specific, or is this a state?
Well, right now, it's town specific, but as of what the legislation's passed, if it passes, it's gonna be effective July,
And it's
and it'll be statewide.
But it's
And it has
enforced
to
at the
be a-
town level.
And it'll be enforced at the town, but there has to
But
be
this-
records
this-
kept at
the
each town.
state law was giving the towns the right to do it.
Yeah,
It wasn't saying you
I
had
don't
to
think
do it.
I don't think it's, if they sign it
So it
into
wouldn't be a
law.
statewide
No.
thing, it'd be a town by town.
Well, the
thing.
regulation will be statewide for the towns to follow as a guide.
Towns
It'll
would
be an
allowed-
RSA
All the
with it.
towns would be allowed to do it, yes.
I want to kind of eliminate renting camps.
No, we're not gonna eliminate any
It's
of
not
that.
gonna eliminate it. What it's gonna do is it's gonna keep the
It'll
fact that
eliminate doing it
somebody,
lawfully.
you'll know if somebody's up there. If they're renting it on a regular basis, it's rental property.
Yeah, but when you gotta meet fire code,
Yeah, I mean, that's
none of these camps meet.
Yeah, you can't do that.
They don't have to meet fire code check. They have to have a smoke detector,
Yep. Smoke, CO2 detector.
CO2, and they have to have ways, egress method to get up.
Second,
So they don't have to meet code.
No, it doesn't have to be heated, doesn't have to be cooled, doesn't have to have, I mean, it can be as basic can be.
don't
It
have
just has to,
electricity,
people have to
you
be able to
have
get out in
battery
case of fire.
battery or gas operated lights or whatever.
Yeah,
So you can have battery operated.
I mean, we wanna keep it as simple as possible.
But you're
Does it have to be
saying
hardwired?
police and fire
Sure.
Yeah,
actually
that's the way I look at
make the
it.
decision of whether or not.
Right.
Well, what they do is then at that point, it requires that the
What-
town
what it
have a
does is it
registry
allows for quicker
where there
response
is
if there's a
a
problem.
fee paid. You turn around
So you're
and
kind of at the mercy of,
have whoever the landowner is or the
Whoever.
property owner, registered property. If they're not in New Hampshire where they live,
whoever.
and that who is gonna be the responsible person if the service has to be made. In other words, if the sheriff has to come up and serve papers on somebody, or the police or fire. So they have to have some person of contact.
Well, if you're gonna
with them.
present it to him, it won't be on the 7th, because we're changing guards on the 8th.
So I guess we'll,
If you did it on the 7th, it'd have to be quick.
you can let us know
No, I mean,
when
if-
you're looking, when we can do it.
I'm thinking like the 21st or something in March. I mean, after the vote, things slow down a bit.
Don't look at me. I won't be there unless they come with the planning board.
Is
I
that a
don't,
House
I mean,
bill?
I haven't,
Was that a House bill?
Yeah, it
What's
was
the
a House
HB
bill.
number, do you know?
Yeah, I got it here
I
somewhere.
sent it to you guys, right?
Yeah, I'd seen it before you sent it, but yeah, I got it.
Try and find it if I can write it down. That'd be something of interest.
And actually, it all boiled down, it all came into the head because of North Conway.
Yeah.
What happened in North Conway?
Down in North Conway was adopting rules that were off the wall.
Well, they
Tamworth,
passed
too.
the zoning ordinance, not allowing short-term rentals.
They're learning any rentals, really. You know, so ski is.
In North Conway?
Yeah.
That seems to shoot yourself in the foot,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
pretty much, yeah.
The court shot him down pretty
Well-
hard.
let's see.
There was two different approaches to it. When you look at,
Well, Portsmouth has one, but that's probably gonna
249.
get shot down at some point too.
right, but what we're,
Short-term rentals.
even though we're talking
that's-
about
that's
rentals,
obviously
we're
a
not
state
talking
Senate
about
bill. Yeah, it
hotel
was,
or,
No,
or,
No, we're not talking about hotels
no,
and
I mean, up
hotels.
there even. They're not talking
Is
about
that
that.
the
They're talking
number?
about private homes being.
Maybe.
yeah, people
bought
who
and
had
then-
chalets up
Yeah.
there and they're up on the
that's
side of
right.
Mount
They're
Cranmore on the
renting out.
backside, and they were renting them out or down near,
And
Cathedral Edge,
French,
there's a lot
he's
of
out
them
of-
down
And
there.
the interesting
French,
part
he's
that I
out of-
saw about that, the most
No.
interesting part,
Oh, is there a
was that-
Gannon?
It says Senate Gannon,
Jesus, there's another freaking Gannon in this state?
D'Alessandro,
you
Brian,
notify in case of a problem, the agent, it has to be in New Hampshire,
anybody from Hillsborough.
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
located in the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's right, that's
Okay.
the state.
Right.
49.
State of the town.
He's
They
got it.
they either have to have the owner or some agent that's,
Located in the state.
so they can have
So when you
service.
notify somebody,
Or they can serve papers on them if they
right,
have to, or
or
something.
if there's a problem, someone to call has to be within the state.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how some of those condos up there operated, that no one lives there from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's a property
Oh, yeah.
management company that takes care of
Yeah.
it, so that's
Some-
what we work through.
Some of
And
them are
some of
just
those-
a local realtor. I know,
Right,
I know a
yeah,
lot of those people
yeah.
up there, and they're just a local realtor, like Badger Realty was handling a
Yeah.
lot of those. Oh, yeah, you got these ones here, they're
Well, that's
duplexes
the
and stuff.
hard part too, is that a realtor will say, this is what you can use this for,
Yep.
when they don't really know that they can use
Oh,
that for. You know, I was looking
looking
at a piece of property in Pittsburgh, come put your forever home up here, or you can put a cabin, an off-the-grid cabin. Well, I thought Pittsburgh had zoning, so you can't technically do that.
Yeah, well, like some of them, they had I found some a few years ago up
But
there,
that's
which
part of the
wasn't.
registration process,
yeah.
is getting who.
Off the grid, it's a mobile home or a camper that they dumped, the big camper they dumped up on the property
Yeah.
and piped it into the
All,
septic.
those things are scattered all over Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But some of them were newer than some of the older ones that were under the, before the
Do
ordinances.
we have an HB number or no?
249.
Yeah.
Senate Bill
Senate Bill
249.
Senate Bill
249.
249, not House Bill, Senate Bill.
I can't on the 21st, but I might be able to.
You know what,
28th.
I threw that out there, but I'll have to see what the board's got on the agenda.
28th, goes in for the 28th.
No,
see if we
we're
can
the
do
first and third.
First and third.
Yeah, and you guys are the second and fourth.
I'll let you guys know what's available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't the 21st, I know that much. I'll get it back.
I won't be here anyway. I'll be in Ireland, I forgot, I'm going to Ireland,
Doesn't matter if you're here or not.
no, so. I was gonna give
You can do it
support.
yourself.
I was gonna give support to the planning board, but I won't.
We have a motion on the floor?
We do?
To adjourn?
Yeah, seconded,
Really?
yeah,
Discussion? All in favor?
yes,
Aye.
Yes.
we're off. Good night.